Hello everybody and welcome to the patch 11.16 review. This is a really bad patch, so stick around and watch it. This has got some of the dumbest things I've ever read here. You guys might notice I'm tired. I'm not tired. I just read through all of this and I'm exhausted. I mean, it's not even the patch notes, it's just the descriptions for some of them. Oh my god. So this is patch 11.16, and oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So here we got champions. We got everyone. I'm gonna look through this. So first off, we have Diana. So they're nerfing Diana for her jungle, and they decided to nerf her damage to non-epic monsters. So look, like, okay, I mean, okay, whatever. This is like the first change. I'm just like, okay. Maybe Diana shouldn't be one-shotting the carry by not hitting a Q, just Eing forwards into R, autoing 3 times with W active. Maybe that shouldn't be happening. I'm not sure, but okay. Yeah, probably her damage to non-epic monsters, right? Sure, okay, fine. Her clear speed's nerfed. Maybe she gets less items. Sorry, I need coffee, man. Let's move on. We go to Fiora. Her E cooldown has been increased later. Now 11 to 7 instead of 11 to 5. We're bringing down her split pushing power and tower racking power. So I actually went ahead and I'm gonna bring this one up. So you guys tell me when they overbuffed Fiora, because remember they kept buffing Fiora because she got smashed by Bramblevest. Do you guys remember that? She got smashed by Bramblevest, so they kept buffing her. So let's look. So here we got 11.4 this season when she was already overpowered. Okay, this season we can see a buff to her passive, both the base damage and the scaling, a large buff to the scaling. Yeah, so this isn't, we don't need to revert this. Let's see here. Let's go back. Oh, here we buffed her mana growth. One of her only weaknesses was mana, and so we decided to remove that weakness by increasing her mana per level by 20. Okay, so that wasn't what made her overpowered either. Here we see her reducing the cooldown on lunge. Now it did the cooldown reduction for hitting an enemy, but basically this meant that she could lunge forward without hitting things much faster. It also did reduce the cooldown of lunge at the later rank. So of course, we're gonna be here for a while. I promise you, we're gonna be here for a while. This has been a long fucking issue in the making. The fact that they finally nerfed Bramblevest and didn't decide to undo any of this shit. Okay, so fine. It wasn't the buff to her pairs or her lunge cooldown. That's not what made her overpowered. Oh, of course not. No, it wasn't that lunge could now damage structures and wards. No, that isn't. Her blade work being able to crit towers. No, that's not what made her overpowered. No, it wasn't the cooldown reduction on blade work. That's not what made her overpowered. It wasn't the increased attack speed at the later ranks of her E. No, that's not what made her overpowered. No, it wasn't the increase of the duration to her parry. It wasn't the increase to the damage on parry. That's not what made her overpowered. It wasn't the reduction of the mana cost on her E. That's not what made her overpowered. It wasn't the buff to her heal on her passive that they fucking hotfixed to be higher than they originally even passed. That's not what made her over. I gotta stop because we're gonna be here forever. So of course, yes, this is gonna take down Fiora. This'll be it, guys. No, it won't be. We're gonna be back here in maybe 20 seconds. 30 seconds after the patch. People are gonna be like, oh yeah, she's still overpowered. Jarvan IV, he's being made into a one-shot champion. That's really all I have to say. So basically, instead of buffing his shield, which is pathetically small. In fact, let me actually go look this up. Do you guys remember when they nerfed the crap out of his shield? Hold on, I gotta go find this. It was, yes, right here. They nerfed it to 1.5% from 2 to 3%. Okay. Now, instead of maybe undoing that nerf, especially because there's Serpent's Fang and damage is so much higher and health on items, at the very least tanky items which he was building is lower. Instead of doing that, they're buffing the damage and then they're buffing his scaling damage. Because of course, when I think Jarvan, I think one-shot champion. Because every champion is a one-shot champion, right? It's just not fun to play League if I can't one-shot my opponent with every champion. Everyone should just be jerking their dick off one-shotting each other every... It's frustrating. It's frustrating because it keeps happening. They just keep making every champion into a one-shot champion. Even Jarvan. Jarvan, yes, he could build lethality, but that was a specific route. It's not... His champion identity isn't one-shotting people, man. Oh, okay, so there we go. Jarvan is now another one-shotter. Great. Didn't buff his shield, no. Jhin, okay, so Jhin actually confuses me. This is the first time I've read a patch note and it's confused me, and I can tell it's even confusing the wiki editors, because even they haven't updated the wiki. They normally update the wiki like within an hour of a patch's release. They're pretty fast, but even there, they haven't updated it with Jin's R, because they're like, well, when they mean minimum damage, do they also mean the maximum damage? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So they buffed the damage on his W, which is fine. Whatever, right? Like, whatever. They're also buffing the minimum damage on his R. Now, I'm not sure if this is like the minimum damage and the maximum damage. Right? I mean, I was reading the way, I think it's both, but doesn't that just mean they buffed the damage on his ult pretty hard? Because I think they just buffed, I mean, this seems like it's gonna make Curtain Call back into one of those, you know, back when he released, when Curtain Call could just kind of murder you. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting here. I'm not really sure about that one, but okay. So Karma. Okay, I had to read these Karma changes a lot, and I actually wrote notes on them. Okay, so basically what they're doing, basic attacks no longer reduce her ultimate cooldown. Now that was done because of the solo lanes. Now, rather than just yelling at you guys and saying you're terrible, you're awful, you're right, or I should say Riot's terrible and awful, I'm actually going to explain this one, okay? Because I think this is the first one I actually need to explain from all the changes that have been here, all right? And I don't just yell about everything, okay? Basically, they're trying to make it so in the solo lane particularly, she can't continue to auto-attack melee top laners to get her ult cooldown reduced, to use more mantra being her ultimate, Q's being her, you know, explode, she throws it and explodes and does a lot of damage, that thing. They don't want her using that thing more in the solo lane. Now what they are doing is the cooldown reduction from abilities is going to 5 flat instead of right now it's 2, 3.5 and 5. Okay, so auto attacking an enemy, especially chasing around a melee champion, won't give her a reduction anymore. But if she actually hits her Qs and she actually uses her Ws, I don't think her W's even listed here, that's her root, then that will help reduce it. But that means she needs to hit her Qs. So if you're actually playing at least moderately safe and hiding behind the minion wave, basically they're trying to make it so tanky Karma isn't gonna do as good, but they want to make that Karma actually using her stuff, they're trying to make sure that that stuff is good. Okay, so that's this change, okay? Now in her Q, they're reducing the early game damage, keeping the late game damage, see that? They are increasing the early game cooldown, reducing the late game cooldown, and pushing the mana cost down. Once again, I'm assuming this is pushing her into maxing her Q, even in a solo lane. And we'll see more of that later. Or sorry, even in the duo lane, they want Karma to be doing damage. Like, she's supposed to be doing damage. This is basically what Riot's saying. Even as a support, they want her doing more damage. Okay. In addition, her mantra Q will do more initial damage. So once again, they want her doing more damage. They also want her maxing this ability, not just kind of putting 1 point into it and using it as a 90 base damage poke wonder ability. Okay. Now for E, the big nerf is on this one. So my phone just keeps giving me useless notifications. I just got a Sea of Thieves notification. Okay, whatever. So her base shield on her E is up at the later ranks, but her movement speed per rank has been removed. It's now 40% flat, not 40 to 60. In addition, when she mantras her E, allies do not get the full movement speed, but only 30% of the movement speed. Not 30% movement speed, 30% of the movement speed. So whereas in the past, they would get full 60%, now they're getting 30% or 40%, so 12. So maxing E and using Mantra E has gone from an AoE 60% movement speed buff to an AoE 12% movement speed buff. This does look like a fairly hard nerf overall. Now, she was very overpowered at the high ranks. Let me be clear about that. So she did deserve a little bit of a nerf. Did she deserve this big of a nerf? I don't know. But they are compensating her by making her Q cooldown later and less mana with more damage if she mantras it. So basically, you mantra your Q, you're going to do better. You mantra your E, you'll do worse. Now, I'm not saying that mantraing E is a bad idea. Clearly, using mantra E is still probably overall the best idea. It's just that they're enhancing mantra Q is all. For Lee Sin, okay, this goes back to me reading this stuff and just being incensed with how stupid this is, okay? Lee Sin came out of the 11.13 nerfs kicking, making his way from a dominating lane straight into dominating the jungle. Whoa, oh, he wasn't dominating the jungle, right? He wasn't that. So I actually decided to go back. So here is patch 11.11. Lee Sin is the highest picked jungler. Okay, so here we go back to patch 11.12. Lee Sin is the highest picked jungler. Here we go back to patch 11.13. Lee Sin is the highest picked jungler. Here we go back to patch 11.14. Highest picked jungler. Here we go back to patch 11.15. Highest picked jungler. He's been the highest picked jungler for fucking ever, with a high ban rate and a good win rate. For how high this guy's pick rate is, he should not be getting this much of a win rate. So, oh, now they're only now are they realizing that he might be overpowered in the jungle too. Maybe it just wasn't the solo lanes, guys. Maybe it was the jungle too. Could it be? I don't know. I only work full time at Riot. I would have no idea how to parse the data and look at a champion and the blatantly highest pick rate, win rate, fucking just insane combo of stats. It takes you 5 minutes to search through the patches and be like, oh, his win rate is way higher than it's historically ever been. Yeah, he normally sits at 48, 49 win rate, but now he's at 50%. It's been like that for a year. That's weird. Maybe those buffs we gave him were a bad idea. Yeah, they buffed the #1 pick jungler. Remember that? Remember they buffed the #1 pick jungler? Good call, Riot. Good call. No, I'm sure everyone was just picking him because he was bad. Of course. That's the only explainable explanation here. So anyway, they're nerfing Iron Will, which, okay, other than making fun of Riot for this dumbness, the nerf is actually a pretty good one. Now, you might be saying I'm hypocritical because, oh, well, they should have nerfed his damage so he couldn't one-shot people, Hashinshin. Nerfing his survivability just means that he's going to be forced more into one-shotting people. Now, I do actually agree with that. They should have nerfed his damage. But without nerfing his damage, nerfing his ability to duel and just kind of drain tank people, yeah, that's a pretty good one too. I definitely feel Lee Sin, for how strong he is early game and for how well he scales, was scaling a little bit too well in the 1v1ing. A little bit frustrating. This will definitely take out his solo laning because he's going from 10% to 5% at rank 1, meaning he can't just kick a few minions and restore 100 HP anymore. As for Lulu, the increased uptime on reliable peel made her a highly frustrating champion to play against, which is reflected in her high ban rate. Wait, are you telling me it's frustrating to fight Polymorph? A 2.5 second point and click stun? That might be frustrating to fight? I never knew. No one knew this, in fact. Oh, well, good job, Riot. They figured it out. And so we can see here, they're nerfing the duration on Polymorph. No, they're not. They're just nerfing its cooldown. Hey, Riot, do you think there shouldn't be a 2.5 second targeted stun from a support? Do you think that might be very frustrating to fight? Do you think? Do you think, Riot? Do you think that? Riot? Video games? I'm talking, Riot. Anyway, so Wild Growth also got a... I don't know. This feels like they just chucked this in here because they were like, we gotta nerf something else. Okay, what should we nerf? I don't know, her ult cooldown? Like, okay. Cool. Okay, so Maokai, I'm gonna ignore all this. They are now buffing the healing on another healing champion. God, I look so tired. Yeah, I promise you, it's just because I read all this stuff and I was just like, wow. I was like exhausted. I had to take notes. I normally don't even take notes on the patches, but I had to take notes because there was so much just wow. So, okay. Here we go. Maokai. They're now buffing the healing on another healing champion. Now, why would they have to do that, you think? Why would they have to buff the healing on another healing champion? Why? Did anti-healing get buffed? Did maybe Ignite reduce healing even further? Well, I don't know. Could it have? I don't know. Maybe it did. Maybe they are buffing every single healing champion in the game one by one because, hey, maybe we over buffed Ignite and now everyone's running a 60% healing debuff starting from level 1. Maybe that could be it. So they're nerfing Sapling Toss. It does less flat damage. It is less AP ratio. But in return, Maokai gets plus 2% health healing on his passive from 5 to 13 to 7 to 15. This will definitely make top Maokai a little bit stronger, although it does hurt his saplings, and Maokai is a particularly low damage champion, so nerfing his damage, like when he plays support, he can kind of do fine because he maxes saplings, builds AP, the saplings, he stacks them up, right? But when he's played top lane, he really lacks damage, so nerfing his damage kind of sucks, and buffing his healing is good, but it's gonna, once again, it's gonna create this situation where if you don't have Ignite, it's gonna be very frustrating to fight him, and if you do have Ignite, you just remove all his healing, so what does it matter? Whatever. Plus, this goes into anything. Tanks are useless. Lord Dominic's Regards and Divine Sunder are too good against tanks. And here we go to Nunu. Wow, another tank needing to be buffed. Imagine that. Wasn't this champion crazy overpowered? I wonder what changed. Was it that they buffed Divine Sunderer and Lord Dominic's Regards? Couldn't be. I mean, it's not like balancing has certain things affecting other things, right? It's not literally called balancing or anything, right? I mean, the very definition of the word doesn't possibly correlate to the fact that when you buff certain aspects of the game, it can make other aspects worse, like a balancing act. So anyway, they buffed Lord Dominic's Regards, and they buffed Divine Sunderer, and tanks are kind of shitty. So despite the fact that Nunu got nerfed for being super broken early in the season, they're now buffing him back up, undoing one of his nerfs and buffing his AP ratios. I don't know why they're pushing AP Nunu. I don't actually know, but they are, so okay. I mean, it's one of those things that's like neat, I guess. Is this like for ARAM or something? I don't know. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. So remember remember my last patch review where I was looking at the Shaco changes? Maybe I'll edit it in. I don't know. I probably won't. It'll take time to go find it. But remember when I was like, wow, that really doesn't seem like a bug fix. That seems like a major systems change. Yeah, Shaco's orange smoke played through the fog of war, so whenever Shaco ganked you, you could just be like, oh, there he is, and you could just walk away. Well, apparently, and who knew, that resulted in more than just being a bug fix. In fact, it was a very hard nerf. I mean, who could have imagined that? Not me. No, sir, not me. That was just a normal bug fix. I mean, we can see here, what's his win rate on this patch? 47%? What was his win rate last patch? 50%? Wow, seems like the things that's happened just by a normal bug fix, right? Yeah, dude, imagine your champion loses 3% win rate because of a bug fix. And Riot's sitting here like, yeah, let's just put that in the bug fix category. Look at this, look at this. It hasn't been that way for 2 years. It hasn't been in the game for 2 years and they bug fixed it. Imagine for a second, like in the next patch notes, like I scroll down to the bug fixes and there's just like, oh, Riven can't cancel her animations anymore. Yeah, that was a long-lasting bug from the last 10 years. Our bad guys. Riven's win rate goes down to like 42%. Riot's like, we didn't know. How are we supposed to know? It was just a bug fix. Like, oh my god. So anyway, and then they fixed a bunch of bug fixes on his R. His win rate will probably go back to 51% with these bug fixes. These bug fixes aren't major. I'm not going to go over them, but Riot seems to be overcompensating a bit here. Now they're listing even minor bug fixes in his actual patch notes. They're like, oh yes, very, very important patch note here. Wards killed by Shaco's clone now properly grant gold to Shaco. We want to make sure to list that in his patch notes. Wouldn't want to skimp on any of the bug fixes affecting his gameplay. Oh my god. Okay. So go to Sivir. Boy. Oh boy. Okay, so Sivir is getting a change. Her W, instead of 30 to 70 AD, those are her ricochet little thingies. It's now gonna be 30 to 90. That's a fairly large buff. I'm not sure how I feel about that one. I'm gonna quick check something. Give me 1 second here, 1 second here. Her win rate and pick rate aren't doing so hot. Well, her win rate's fine, but her pick rate is low, so she did need a little bit of a buff, but this seems like one of those buffs that's kind of gonna go a little bit haywire. I don't know. This seems like one of those buffs that looks like okay on paper, but then you start playing against it in late game Sivir's just like wah, and teams are just taking like these giant AoE nukes, and you're like, what the? Okay, so Sona. I went ahead and I had to take notes on this one too. So, okay, I'm gonna summarize this. We're not only making fun of Riot here, you guys will learn something. We're all gonna learn something. Okay, so with Sona, okay, so basically, let's list through the changes. And I need to scroll up and down, so I'm listing you the changes, okay? Her ultimate no longer reduces Sona's basic cooldown ability, cooldown reduction. Now, those were 10, 25, 40%. I don't know why they don't list them. So she no longer gets from her ultimate 10, 25, 40% cooldown reduction on her basic abilities. Instead, that is now part of her passive, and she can stack it up. Each time a bolt hits an enemy, she gets a stack. She needs 120 stacks. So the purpose of this change was to keep Sona in the duo lane by, in the past, she scaled too much on levels. Level 6, level 11, and level 16 would scale her cooldowns down. So if you put her in a solo lane to get XP, she would do much better. Now, she just needs to use her abilities. She needs to strike 120 times. You hit scrat, 1 per target, up to 2. W gives her a stack if she's blocked or healed 25 to 125 damage, up to 2. E gives her nothing. In addition, the mana cost and abilities has gone down 25, but she no longer refunds 30 if she's near an ally. So those are the big changes. There's a little bug fix here. Guys, in addition to listing all the Shaco bug fixes, we listed the very major change here. So it's Sona will keep her passive hit up if she's revived by Zillion. Major change here. Major. Yeah, they're clearly overcompensating. They're fucking terrified they do this shit again. But that was so dumb, I can't even believe it. So anyway, the mana cost and her abilities are actually going up 5 in the duo lane. I don't think she's going to be solo lane viable because this change, this change actually means that she's better in the duo lane. In addition, her ult can now hit champions, monsters, and minions. Well, it always hit champions, of course, but now it can hit monsters and minions. So just, okay, fine. In addition, if she does stack up her ultimate, or sorry, her passive, if she reaches the 60 ability haste, her ultimate now goes down by 1.5 seconds cooldown each time she would gain a stack. So it's, if she hits 2 people with her Q, for example, that's 3, and that's 3 flat. So when I don't know why I don't have this pulled up, I'm doing this really bad, but if I look at it, her cooldown on her ult is 140 to 100. So with some ability haste, there's a possibility that maybe late game she could get 2 ults in a fight. Unlikely, but maybe. I don't know. I think it's to try to give her an advantage over Seraphine, which maybe don't make 2 champions so similar then, Riot? Maybe. Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, so that's the entire Sona change. Oh, I ran the numbers. Pre-patch, as in Season 10, level 16 Sona would have 40% cooldown reduction from her ultimate, with 40% cooldown reduction from items, or runes, or whatever. She would then get 64% because they stacked multiplicatively. So she'd have 64% cooldown reduction pre-patch in Season 10. Now, in Season 11, with max stacks and 60 ability haste, so with 120 ability haste, under the new system, she gets 55% reduction. So she went from 64% to 55%. Now, for those of you who know math, that's actually a fairly large decrease. While for those of you who don't know math, it looks like a mere 9%. And you're sitting there and you're thinking, well, that's only a 9%, Hashinshin. I mean, that's not a big deal. I don't really know why you're complaining. Well, okay, so running the numbers, that means that she actually has about 16%. What is the term Riot uses? It's about 16% less abilities she'll use. So that's not a huge major ultra deal, but you know what I mean. It's one of the things. It's like That's it. That's about all I can talk about for Sona. I hope I didn't bore you guys, but I wanted to I try to be thorough here so you guys understood why all the Sona mains are calling this a nerf. The increase of mana cost and her abilities, even if by 5, and the well, I mean, okay, here's my opinion. My personal opinion. Because she stacks this up faster, she doesn't need to be level 16 to reach the maximum. And because everyone's ability haste did get nerfed, okay? Everyone gets less ability haste other than the people who are using the specific ability haste pathing, okay? So if you're going Gore Drinker, Black Cleaver, Surreal does, yeah, you can have more cooldown reduction than before, but you're going a very specific path. Your average champion, instead of having 20 to 30 to 40% CDR reached very easily, they're going to like 17 to 26%. So Sona going down is part of the norm. Now, ability haste does stack worse than cooldown reduction used to. So if Sona does go with the ability haste stacking, right? If Sona decides to stack up to that 80, 90, 100 ability haste, she will be getting about the same out of it as she did in Season 10, but with far more investment. But the thing is, she can reach this far earlier than level 16. So I am a little bit torn. It is a nerf to her hyper late game, but she can reach it much easier without having to whore out solo lane experience. So I was wrong on the Xin Zhao rework. I think the Karma rework, that's just a nerf. That's just a nerf, and it's intended to be a nerf. This one is not intended to be a nerf. I think she might come out slightly better. That's my actual take. I think she might come out slightly better. Slightly. Especially because pre-6, she can start getting some ability haste, but she does have higher mana cost, but mana's not really that big a deal, so it's... I'm torn. I think she comes out slightly better for it, though. Especially because it means because ability haste is worth more at the lower numbers than the higher numbers. It does mean that, especially in the early game, if she has 10 stacks, that's 9% cooldown reduction. That means she's only had to hit 20 things. That's 20 Qs, 20 Ws. Now, I don't think W stacks on yourself, so maybe that's harder than I'm giving it credit, but I don't know. We'll see. I think it's either going to be a slight nerf or a slight buff. I think that it's on the line enough. It's not going to be a major nerf, but the thing for Sona players is that they don't need a major nerf. This champion it seems to be one-tricked kind of hard when I look at the numbers, and those one tricks do get her to a decent win rate. I don't think... I think it'll be a slight nerf or a slight buff. I'm kind of leaning towards slight buff, but I don't want to be wrong. So maybe a slight nerf, maybe a slight buff. I'm kind of like, I can think of reasons for both sides, you know, because if she can't use her Q and she can't use her W because it's a hard lane, then she's going to be hit really hard. And that's kind of the problem right now, right? Is that if she can't keep running up and using Qs, she's not going to get to 20 stacks before level 6. However, if there keeps being 3v3s or 2v2 all-ins, or just generally the ability to poke, then she will get these stacks early. And I don't know, maybe it's going to be that good Sona players, as funny as that sounds, maybe good Sona players who know how to sneak in these Qs and get these stacks, maybe they're just going to start doing really well with this champion. Maybe Sona players who know how to roam and do that stuff, maybe they'll do really well. I don't know. Maybe they will. I leave open the possibility. I'm not trying to make fun of Sona players for playing Sona, because it truly does seem with this new system that sneaking in your Qs, especially with this caster minion level of survivability, like inching forward like a Sona through the jungle, not through the actual jungle, but through the brushes, like treating this lane like Vietnam, and you kind of sneak up and you pop out, you hit a Q and you run back and you get these stacks. Like, that's going to be very impactful. And especially into the later game, when you have to remember that if you get these max stacks, you can potentially get off 2 ults if you're sneaking in this stuff. You know, maybe you get a pick and then your ult is on cooldown, but you hit enough abilities to get a second ult off. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think these are good changes, is what I'm saying. I just don't know if they're going to be a nerf or a buff. Remember, they could always just, if these are coming out and these are horrible nerfs, they could just slap 20 health on this champion and make her tankier, and therefore more able to hit her Qs. They could do that, and it would not be very difficult. So, here's Tahm Kench. Not much to talk about Mr. Thomas. Very overpowered, getting nerfed. That's it. Very overpowered, getting nerfed. Bye-bye, Thomas. These nerfs will probably take him out of the high ranks, in my opinion. I know I've said that before, but I'm not particularly against Thomas. Like, he's doing quite good even into the super high ranks. Tanks are bad right now, not because of their stat, but because of Divine Sunderer and Lord Dominic's Regards. Once those items hopefully get toned down so tanks aren't just getting destroyed, Thomas will be fine even with these numbers. So here we have Vladimir. Now, I actually looked this up because I was so confused by this stupidity. I thought I had to be wrong. Like, sometimes people make statements that are just so absurd that I think to myself, man, that statement is so, like confidently incorrect that maybe I'm wrong on this one, right? Like, maybe I'm not right. So I looked into it. No, actually, I have no fucking clue what they're talking about. Top lane Vlad has been dragging behind his mid lane counterpart. To help him hold his own in top lane, we're increasing his passive bonuses, which should also let him reap the benefits of building tankier items. To help him hold his own in top lane. Now, they're buffing him for every lane, not just top lane. Does Riot realize that? I don't know. But, okay. I went to check. Because this wording, which should help him also reap the benefits of building tankier items. I went and I read that and I thought to myself, maybe top lane Vladimir builds different items. Maybe I'm wrong. So I went and checked. So here's mid lane Vladimir, Diamond 2+. Okay, let's zoom in so you guys can see this a bit better. Okay, here is mid lane Vladimir. You guys see that? D2+ on current patch. Here are mid lane, Rocket Belt, Cosmic Drive, Death Cap, Void Staff with an Hourglass. Okay. We can see Death Cap, Hourglass. We can see the same 3 items here with Rocket Belt dominating first pick. Does everybody see that? Everybody see this? So let's go to top lane. Rocket Belt, Cosmic Drive, Death Cap, Void Staff. Now, with the 15 picks in top, it got slightly more than Hourglass. But we can see, I don't know what to say. These don't look different to me. So we can see the 4 items that he builds after Rocket Belt confidently displayed here. And then in mid lane, we can see the 4 items that he builds after Rocket Belt confidently displayed here. I literally don't know what the fuck they're talking about. We should also let him reap the benefits of building tankier items. What? Who's building them? They build the exact same. He's perfectly fine in mid lane. Perfectly fine. He's doing very well, in fact. So they're buffing him? This means for every 100 ability power, he's going to get 20 more HP. Why? Is this a huge, massive buff? No. But why? Why the fuck do they word it like this? What the fuck are they talking about? What does any of this mean? Sometimes I feel like people just say shit. What? This is ridiculous. They're just saying shit with absolutely there's no justification for any of this, and that's what they say about it is just nonsense. Okay. Xin Zhao has been very overpowered. Again, I was wrong. I'll say it a million times. I was wrong. He was very overpowered. And it took people a while to figure it out, but he's been very overpowered and he's getting nerfed. Personal opinion, they have left in his good scaling, which is probably fine. The game needs less early game junglers who just early game the early game to early game. I don't really like that there's so many junglers who just they just come out of the woodwork and they're like, their level 3 is just absolutely unbeatable, right? And yeah, so it's good that Xin Zhao has been pushed more into being able to scale. I'm not saying he's a scaling champion. No one is picking Xin Zhao for the late game, but clearly he scales better than he did before. In fact, I'll actually bring up, here's his win rate by game duration. It does go down, but far less than it did before. Only a few percent. He actually kind of spikes here in the mid game. And that's much better than it used to be, where it was just like do. So overall, I'm actually going to give it to Riot on this one. This has overall been a good change to Xin Zhao. And I was wrong. Okay. I didn't know he was going to be this overpowered. Clearly. So honestly, good change. This will probably balance him back. 3 damage is worth a lot, particularly in the early game. I think he'll still be viable. I don't think he'll be overpowered. And overall, again, good change. Good. So good. Honestly, I'm happy with this. Yeah. I'll give credit when credit's due. Ziggs. Okay. This should curb his power more in bot lane, which should be more easily recouped in mid. No. Mid lane Ziggs is dead. He wasn't even performing that well, and you just massively nerfed his rank 1E, reducing the base damage by 25%, effectively removing the slow, going from 30 to 10%. Yeah, dude, what, more easily recouped in mid? At what, level 13? What do you think, mid lane starts at level 13? Hey, but at least he got his mana back. Okay, so bot lane Ziggs was overpowered. Small suggestion. Maybe nerf his passive against turrets early game, because that's what he was doing. Every passive hit against the turret would just ka-chunk it, and with the plate gold, but no, Riot clearly, this is better, of course, making him unplayable into assassins because he can't possibly zone them anymore. That was the key, Riot. That was the key. Okay. Dark Seal. Okay, I did not know Dark Seal was this broken. Dark Seal gave 5 ability power per stack, and it gave a mere 4 stacks lost on death. So if you got 2 assists with this item, just 2, it would give 20 ability power for 35 ability power. Yeah, dude, no wonder every single AP user was building this item. If you just casually happened into a fight where you could grab a mere couple of assists or a kill or something, you'd end up getting a 350 gold blasting wand. And then if you got more, you would end up getting a crazy Majais or something. And you didn't even have to turn it into a Majais. You could just sit on it for a bit, you know? Yeah, so remember when I said that the whole issue with mages was that they just, like, Majais was so overpowered that it kind of was like their entire class was being balanced on it, because if they got the Majais or they got the stacks, it just sort of scaled out of control and killed everyone. This is toning that down, and that's a good thing. That's a very good thing from Riot. Honestly, good change. I think it's still strong. They didn't hurt Majais. I don't know why this item exists. It's a last snowballing item. It's going to be a balance issue forever, because it's still worth buying a Dark Seal and playing the game of maybe I get fed and win the game. And that's not really a good place to have your class balanced. Even if you play a mage, right? Do you really want your class to be hamstrung and balanced around this sort of thing, where if you get ahead and you win early, that you just sort of snowball out of control? And if you don't, then your class is weaker on average to compensate for this? That doesn't seem like a good position to balance your class. Redemption. I literally forgot this item exists. It's getting buffed. More healing, less cooldown. I'll be honest, I wish they would reduce the range on it when they did these buffs. Something that's always kind of pissed me off with Redemption, and something I'm sure that's going to be very annoying right now, is that if you're split pushing, you can Redemption to the bot lane, or top, or wherever you're split pushing, from mid lane, and win the split push. Because you can't take 10% health true damage, and you can't fight through a pretty large heal. I mean, maybe you can now, but, you know. So, basically, 2 things. 1, I don't really enjoy this item because it hurts split pushers disproportionately, in my opinion. 2, no one was building this item. And 3, the third of my 2 things, here we are buffing another healing item because Ignite was overbuffed. Wow. It's so consistent. It just keeps happening. It just keeps happening. Wow. It struggled to find its niche this season. Why, Riot? Why did we buff healing debuffs or something? Did Ignite get buffed or something, Riot? Does Ignite reduce more healing, Riot? Is that why people don't want it, Riot? Interesting. Let me actually let me do a little bit of math skadoodly doo. Okay, so with the current system, right, it will heal 160 under a 60% healing debuff. Last season, it would heal 216 under a 40% healing debuff. So it'll still heal for less, right? It'll still heal for less. That's really all I have to say. I mean, it kind of sucks because they just keep buffing healing and then buffing healing debuffs and then buffing healing and then and we're seeing it in real time. Redemption, Vladimir, Maokai, this patch alone, we keep buffing healing because we keep buffing healing debuffs. Huh. Here we are seeing a total useless. We don't lose MMR for dodging, so people will dodge. Especially this late in the season when everyone has bought accounts or has 3, 4, 5 accounts. No one cares. Nobody cares about the dodge penalty. Like, I can tell you right now, if I was trying to climb the most I could, I would have 3 accounts in Masters, and I would just be changing between them, because how much do you really play in a day? If I played 10 games a day, I could still dodge between my 3 accounts. Even in this new system, I could still dodge 9 times. And that means I get a dodge on every champion select, basically. That's if I played 10 games per day. Now, imagine for a second that you aren't the only one dodging. In every lobby, if every person can dodge every lobby, and they do dodge every single lobby, right? That means on average, you're gonna have to go through almost 10 lobbies to get into a game if people really abuse this system. Now that's better. I think someone mathed it out earlier. Before all these changes, it was like 18 dodges to get a game if everyone dodged, but now we're down to 10. Great! So basically, the people that are dodging are still abusing the goodwill of the people who don't dodge for free LP, because dodging will raise your MMR and it is still giving you free LP, right? The people that abuse dodging, they are still abusing the goodwill of people who don't dodge. It's bad. So we have bugs. I took notes on which one of these were amazing. So, fixed a bug where Warwick's R infinite duress cancels mid-jump if the target flashes. What? Champions can now acquire a blue buff if they kill the blue sentinel while in a zombie state, such as Sion's passive Glory and Death. Okay. Fixed a bug where players would lose their red or blue buffs when executing to non-epic jungle monsters. This is actually a funny one, because it used to be like this, and then they changed it. And I thought I went crazy for a while, because I used to do this shit all the time. Because you would execute to red buff as Sion, steal it, come to lane with red buff, right? And then they changed it, and now I don't really understand it. Because I could have sworn there was like an entire season where you did that on Sion. There was like an entire season where you did that, and I never understood it. Like, I know I was doing it. Like, I felt like I was going crazy for a while. So apparently that was just a wacky bug. What's the next one? Oh, here's one. Fixed a bug where a champion was able to teleport to a destroyed tower if the teleport channel bar had 0.3 seconds remaining. How? That's been in the game for like 11 years. That's interesting that they finally fixed it, but holy crap. And here's the last one that I found funny. Fixed a bug where Chindamir's W mocking show would not contribute towards eclipses, blah blah blah, if the enemy champion was facing him. For the one player in the world who's playing Eclipse Tryndamere. Congratulations, buddy. Your item got buffed. Oh man. And here we go for the Coven skins. So here's one thing I actually noticed about these skins. These skins are less revealing than the base models, which I'm kind of hoping Riot continues. because I feel like they lost their way with skin design. Look, I'm not just being like whatever you think I'm being, okay? There's a very clear fashion trope, if you want to call it a trope. If you cover things up, they can often be prettier and even more sexual. To give you the best example that everybody knows of, look no further than thigh highs. Thigh highs cover things up and yet can make it seem prettier and even more sexually appealing. Do you understand that? In a lot of ways, let's say they made this a battle bikini. By removing this and just showing her midriff, this skin would actually start to look worse. Because there's only so much you can do. By covering this, I know I'm giving you guys some weird fashion advice here, but hear me out on this one, because I've actually, don't ask me why, but I've watched YouTube videos on this late at night. By covering all this up and then showing this, that's what your eyes go towards. If they removed this part and if they showed the midriff, you actually start to get a sort of like overload, if you will. If you're looking at too much and it starts to desensitize you to it even. So by having the little this and by showing the thighs, but not all the thighs, by kind of like covering up a little bit and by not showing that, you know, it actually does more. And I actually think Riot, like if you want to have sexual skins or pretty skins or whatever, fine. But there's something to be said that covering everything up except for this actually does more. I don't know if you guys can even see it, but I think I've been, here, let me, I don't think I've been zoomed. Wait, why is this one smaller than this one? Wait, this image size is smaller than the other ones. What the hell? That's weird. Huh. Okay, anyway. That's basically it for this patch. So far as these chromas, I'm not gonna look over every chroma, but thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you everybody for watching, blah, 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 blah. Thank you. Appreciate you all. Support my Patreon. This one's particularly long. I really took my time with this one. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all. Appreciate you all. Thank you everybody. Thank you my Patreon boys, my Patreon girls, my Patreon everybody. Thank you all. Appreciate you all. Thank you everybody. Have a great day. Great rest of your day or whatever. Thank you all. Bye-bye.